ready for phase 1?
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Excessive here, Team Stealth Rocks, NPBL prep video for the Week 3 battle versus the Lincoln Lanturns and Marv. Team Stealth Rocks Civil War. Really looking forward to playing Marv. It's always a good time when we play each other. We also kind of got into Draft League around the same time, so it's an exciting time when we play them. I have a lot to talk about this video, so we'll try to move at a quicker pace. Let's go over Marv's team. Overview of Marv's team. We'll start with the one negative thing I don't like about his team. Marv's top end speed tiering. It's not bad. It's not good. It's kind of very mediocre speed tiering, a little bit lazy in my opinion. 2 130s and 2 110s gives me very easy kind of speed tiers to aim for and to outspeed everything. So if I want to outspeed everything, I just have to be faster than his 130s. If I want to be, outspeed his mid-range high-end mons, his 110s, like I said, I have to outspeed those. So it gives me very clear and easy benchmarks. If you could, I understand a low-end Raichu's ability doesn't really mean it has 110 speed, but still, it gives me a very clear and easy speed tiering to aim for to beat. 3 mons in the 70s too isn't great, but I'm more concerned with the top-end speed tiering. If you want to be fast, you want to have like a range of fast mons. You just don't want to have, a clump of mons that are the same speed. That's pretty easy to outspeed with Scarfers and such. But that's just my opinion. Another semi-negative, but not really, thing about his team is very well rounded from a defensive standpoint, but really lacks top tier recovery. I mentioned in the draft review video. Marv in the past, when he's had really good success, has always had these universal walls, universal switch-ins like a Melodic and Umbreon that he's used to great success to kind of stall people out if they don't come prepped for it, to force people to prep and prepare a certain way. And he doesn't have that this year. Now, the mons he did draft are very good value for defensive Pokemon. They're very good and very good against my team in particular, but he doesn't have, end-all be-all recovery and stalling. Crobat is obviously very good. Serena can do that a little bit, but he doesn't have that Melodic like he's had in the past. Now, from an offensive standpoint, team has got a ton of options versus my team. I like to usually try to simplify this and say, how do I lose? This is going to be a long list for how do I lose, but very good offensive option versus my team with a wide variety of good stab, speed tiering, and sweeper options versus me. And like Marv talked about, stacking the 4x weaknesses, the grass, the ice, the fire, kind of make prepping, interesting for him. I feel my team is not nearly as focused as it usually is in terms of its coverage moves and coverage options, and kind of has a smattering of everything, which could work against me, because who knows if he'll, what he's going to bring. So yeah, interesting team. Good draft by him, very good. How do I lose? This is kind of long. Tapu Koko is very good against my team. And Scarf Tapu Koko, Z Tapu Koko, name your offensive set is pretty good against me. He has to be a little careful when it comes to Tapu Koko because of the possibility of Ditto coming. So I looked at his roster and kind of, me and Marv talked in details about. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later when I talk about another mon. Gengar, Ghost moves are very spammable versus my team. Gengar, usually my Hydreigon would be a very good option to answer to Gengar, but Gengar gets Dazzling Gleam, and I'm 4 times weak to Dazzling Gleam, so Gengar is an issue. Incineroar as an offensive mon is usable as well. A bulky Scissor set could be an issue. The spamming Bullet Punch, SD type stuff like Marv likes could also kind of give me problems. Snorlax, Curse Snorlax could also be kind of an issue. I do have some contingency plans for these sets, but as you see here, the list goes on and on and on. Very, very wide variety of sets. Zygarde is always a threat. Thousand Arrows spam is always dangerous, but with me being the Ice team and having access to multiple mons with Ice Shard, I'm not sure Zygarde's coming. Sometimes Marv likes to bring mons into a bad matchup just because on paper they're just a very, very good Pokemon and not so dependent on matchup. But I don't know if he'll bring Zygarde. If he does, it has to be a Yachi Barrier subset in my opinion. Otherwise, Blizzard OHKO's everything but like max special defense, max HP, AV, Zygarde, and it doesn't like Ice Shard does like 60 to 70% to it. So, you know, I'm not sure if I'll see Zygarde this week, but Marv sometimes has a tendency to over prep for that. Last thing we want to mention about Marv's team, from a defensive standpoint, what he has, Scissor is a stud from the defensive standpoint. Very easy to switch into my Ice Spam. Very safe Pokemon. Invites in Chandelure, but it does get dark coverage options to hit me on, on the switch. So yeah, I can see Scissor being an issue to break down. A Roosty's special defensive set would be kind of a pain to deal with and would give me issues. Incineroar is even better than an offensive threat, is an amazing defensive switching against me. My Ice Spam can't really touch it. My preferred kind of Metagross, my Steel type I really want to try, just gets absolutely bodied by it. My Ghost offense gets bodied by it. And I can hit it hard with a lot of different things, but I think a defensive kind of high HP, either like AV or Choppleberry, not Choppleberry, Chuckaberry set could be a very usable set versus me, and pivot around and just either spread status, spam knockoffs, things along those nature could be an issue. So predicted 6. Tapu Koko is coming for sure. I think Gengar is going to come for the out of his 110s. I'm prepping that Zygarde's going to come, but I'm not 100% certain on that one. Mega Scissor for sure, Incineroar for sure. Then he's got kind of some interesting choices. Seismitoad, Mesprit, and Snorlax. One of those three I think is definitely going to come. Snorlax is a good AV user, a good special defensive mon to switch into my Blizzard Spam. But he's kind of got Incineroar for that already, and Scissor, so I don't know if he needs a third one. So I think either Seismitoad or Mesprit is coming. One of them will run rocks. I think they'll be kind of a utility set, is what I'm prepping for. So that's kind of the overview of Marv's team. Kind of long-winded, try to make it concise, but with these better drafted teams and with people like Marv, it takes a lot of prep. So my team, what am I bringing? We're bringing some weird stuff, guys. We're trying to have fun. We're going to try to catch Marv a little off guard. My team is not very well-rounded on paper, in my opinion, from a defensive standpoint. But honestly, I just don't see my well-rounded team going up against Marv's well-rounded team, with my Steel Fairy Dragon core and things like that, and winning. I just think his draft is better than mine. So we need to use prep and play to try to put him in some awkward situations where it's not just base stats that are going to win you the day, and more about decisions you're making in the game and prep. So let's get started here with the team. All right, we're going to start off with Abomasnow. 3 for 3 coming. I promise, guys, it's not going to come every single week, but for some reason, we're really liking Abomasnow early on. Don't need to talk a ton about his set, but let's bring up my notes that I really liked about this. If you're looking close, you can see we're running Focus Punch this week. That's for Snorlax and Incineroar on the switch-in. It's kind of risky because Lando let slip that Marv's been prepping with Lando a little bit, and Lando loves U-turn, and that will mess up Focus Punch a little bit. But I still think it'd be kind of funny to try to run Focus Punch and hit Incineroar or Snorlax on the switch-in. So, I see Snorlax coming in to take a Blizzard. I predict with Focus Punch and just bop him. A standard Smogon defensive calc set, like a not max HP, not max defense, but invested in both. Focus Punch does like 85%ish, a little bit higher, a little bit lower roll. So it hurts a lot to Snorlax, dude. So I think it'd be really funny to blow something up with Focus Punch. I don't know how usable it's going to be with the amount of Volt Turn Marv has available, but it's funny. Blizzard Spam's good against everything but Scissor. I decided to bring Wood Hammer kind of as neutral stab for Seismitoad and Mesprit. It's decent against like a things along those lines. I might switch up Wood Hammer. I'm not super sold on it. I just have a feeling Tapu Koko. This is a decent Tapu Koko switch in. Decent, not great. But I have a feeling he'll run Shucka Berry. So Wood Hammer just does almost as much. Blizzard does almost as much. So I just rather kind of be able to throw off either grass moves or Blizzard. So we might change the Wood Hammer. We're filming this a little bit early. Ice Shard's good against his team. Blizzard's good against his team outside of the Scissor and Snorlax and Incineroar, blah blah blah. Alright, moving on. Oh, so yeah, we're running this EV investment like we talked about. Does above 50% to Incineroar as well, coming in on the switch in, even with Intimidate and a bulky Incineroar set, defensive investment, HP investment. This does like 50% to him, so it hurts a lot. And Earthquake might be better on, if I was tryharding, but I think it'll be funny to try to use Focus Punch against something. So we're going Focus Punch. Next up, #1 fan, Don Fan. Really important this week in my opinion. Rocking the Rocky Helmet. I could predict a lot of U-turning from Marv, or at least contact moves with Bullet Punch, U-turn options, Incineroar. A lot of these Pokemon, or Brave Bird spam from Crobat, a lot of these Pokemon have contact moves. So just doing extra chip to them, putting them in range for some of these later mons coming up. And again, like we talked about, it's not easy for Marv to really shrug off a lot of damage very easily. So yeah, Rocky Helmet I think is a correct bring. This investment's worth mentioning because it's the Fire Feint with this amount of investments is a guaranteed 2-hit KO on Scissor that is not max defense. I predict Scissor to be a little bit more specially defensive, so a max HP set with like 100 defensive IVs and a positive nature still is 2-hit KO'd by this Fire Feint. So if he bullet punches me on the switch and I start spamming Fire Feints against him, I could see that kind of, doing a decent amount of work, or at least not making this setup bait for Scissor. Running Rapid Spin to try to keep rocks off my side of the field. I always really struggle. Marv, when we play heads up against each other, Marv usually beats me in keeping rocks off his side of the field and getting him up on mine. I always feel under a lot of pressure when playing Marv. I'm always worried about getting set up on because Marv's got crazy eyes and just likes to click setup moves at random points. Even, when I necessarily don't think it's the correct move, he does it and he proves that it is the correct move. We just have different styles, so don't want to be setup bait for this. So I see myself attacking a lot, but yeah, not really more else worth mentioning. As usual with Don Fan, probably going to go down relatively early in the fight. It's one of my few really good Incineroar switch-ins. So I see myself throwing this into Incineroar, doing chip if it's trying to U-turn out, or clicking knockoff or something like that, trying to do chip damage to it, and just getting some damage, keeping rocks off my side of the field. Next up we have Norman. Magic Guard to stop Hail from damaging me, to stop him from toxicking me. Norman's kind of a generic wall. Does decent against a lot of his team. Only thing I have to really work out for is Gengar. Maybe like a Calm Mind Tapu Koko could give me issues. A wall breaking, choice band like Serena or Snorlax could also threaten me. We have HP Fire for the Scissor switch in. I'm not gonna, if he's switching Scissor all the time, I want him to think this is a safe switch in and then hit Scissor with this. It does around 40 to 50%, chips him down, makes him so he's got to clicking roost so that I can get in stuff for free, hopefully. Running Stealth Rocks on this over Don Fan. I want rocks up. I feel like, clicking rocks earlier in the game, keeping them up will be important. I can see this kind of switching in and on stuff like Coco, as long as it lacks Calm Mind. Mesprit possibly. Zygarde, for example. It's pretty safe switching to Zygarde. Zygarde has to, just start ridiculously trying to click Dragon Dance a lot, and I just don't think it'll work. So between Obama Snow and Zygarde, this is what I'm hoping to cover him with, the Zygarde option with. Next up, we have Bandit. Now this set might change. TBD, this set might change. I guess this is the time we'll kind of talk about my struggle with prepping for Marv's team. On paper, Hidden Power Ice is 100% the correct move to take here because of Zygarde. But he's got so many freaking mons that are 4 times weak. It's hard for me to justify taking an entire move slot just around HP Ice for one Pokemon. between Obama Stone, Clefable, I'm hoping to be able to handle Zygarde. And with the possibility of Zygarde not coming, then I don't want the wasted move slot in HP Ice. With his speed tiers the way he is, I only see one of the 130s coming. So this should be able to outrun everything but Tapu Koko in my prediction. And maybe a mid-tier Scarf or like a Serena or something along those lines. Something in that 80 to 70 speed could also be Scarf. And Thunderbolt is kind of spammable versus his team. He's got 2 ground types, but he's got a lot of options that he needs to think about as well. Is he going to bring Zygarde and Seismitoad? If he's not bringing Zygarde, he's bringing Seismitoad. I have Donphan for that. I have Obama Snow for that. So yeah, it's interesting. So kind of got frustrated and just decided to pick up Nasty Plot instead of the coverage option in Grass Knot or HP Ice. Thunderbolt hits a lot of his team. Sludge Wave hits the rest. Hits his Thunder resists outside of his Dragon type and Seismitoad. Nasty Plot gives me kind of a nice end game kind of sweeper / breaker. If Tapu Koko if I can get in before Tapu Koko's in and I can get a free Nasty Plot off on something like an Incineroar, I can do a lot of damage to his team and maybe sweep him if things are chipped. His only really priority options are Bullet Punch, and it doesn't do a healthy number to me, but yeah, I don't know. I just like the option. If I can get rid of Seismitoad or Zygarde, or if only one of them comes and I can get rid of them early, then Volt Switch is very spammable versus this team, and I'd like to kind of pivot around and get in my Wall Breakers, switch into my Clefables, my Donphans to kind of sack off and just spread damage to his team. So I don't want to be choice locked. I want to take advantage of Prankster. So this is the set we came up with. This might change. I might wuss out and drop, an Aggrassy, Grass Knot, or HP Ice or something along those lines. But I just, when looking at his team, I really lacked a clear win condition. So this is kind of what I came up with. I don't think it's the best. But yeah, that's what the set we have for now. EVs aren't really worth mentioning. We're going to skip Webley for now because that's my favorite set. Lumineer. Lumineer also might change for Tentacruel. I'm not 100% sold on this set. Tentacruel's got some defensive capabilities versus his team, but is total Tapu Koko setup bait. And yeah, and Gengar is also an issue. So this is kind of a Gengar trap set. Is the idea here. The speed makes me outrun everything below, I believe, Serena? No, I apologize. Seismitoad and below. Gosh, with a little bit more investment, I could outrun max speed. Scissor, literally 1 point. But am I really worried about max speed Scissor? I don't know. We'll think about that. I don't know if it's really that big of a difference. It might be worth I might change that. But anyways, this set, kind of a Gengar trap set. Might be my lead. His team doesn't really, outside of Incineroar, because Incineroar bodies my entire team outside of Bandit. Shadow Ball, Fire Blast is pretty spammable versus him, or at least Shadow Ball is, and I kind of want to maybe try to break and wear down his defensive checks like Seismitoad. And like we've talked about, Incineroar is very good against a lot of my teams. So with that being said, sorry guys. I mean, even if it's switching in and it's switching in on rocks and it's taking 10% here, 12% here, if it's not running leftovers, it has no recovery options, it's going to get worn down. So that's even kind of, a bad thing. Obviously, I don't want to be throwing off resisted attacks like that. But, Gengar. I guess Infiltrator over Flash Fire. Flash Fire doesn't make any sense to me because if I switch it on Incineroar's Fire move to get the Flash Fire boost, I then just get mollywopped by a Dark move. So Flash Fire seemed really bad. He doesn't have Premier Fire attackers outside of Incineroar, and Incineroar's got the Dark typing to smash me. So decided to go with Infiltrator to kind of break his subs. Marv likes sub a lot. He's shown sub SD Cobalion in the past. He's shown sub Zygarde in his prep notes to me. So I'm predicting maybe like a sub Gengar, sub Tapu Koko, and just kind of bop him, catch him off guard. If Chandelure's in on Gengar, he thinks I'm going to switch out. I then freaking one-shot him behind the sub with Shadow Ball. That would be Excelente. Um, could also see myself bluffing Scarf a little bit with this, bring it in on something like Gengar or Coco to throw off a Shadow Ball, then switching out when there's Mega Scissor or the most likely Incineroar comes in to kind of make him think I'm choice locked, to kind of give him something to play around a little bit. But yeah, Tentacruel also has some options, but I wanted something offensive that could kind of, again, coupled with Bandit, can kind of blow holes in his special defensive wall. This thing does a lot of damage to Scissor, and one of my only things that clearly just murders Scissor. We might even change from Fire Blast to Flamethrower, because I don't know if it's really worth. I don't need the extra damage to Oko Scissor, and I think everything else would rather just, I'd rather click Shadow Ball against everything else except Scissor. And then Thick Fat Snorlax probably just walls this thing anyways, so we have Toxic for that. Going along with the Choice Scarf buff, I could see myself either clicking Sub against Gengar later on in the game. Maybe if he thinks I'm Choice Scarf and he switches out Gengar, I could click Sub, get behind a Sub, fire off a free Shadow Ball. He's then got to click Knockoff with the Incineroar. He takes another Shadow Ball. And just kind of generally wear him down. And then late game, if Incineroar doesn't come or is gone and I get behind a Sub, I can really do a lot of work and KO a lot of Pokemon with this. Alright, my favorite set, absolute favorite set this week is Webley. Or if I could name him, Kamikaze. So this is this is not optimal at all, but I think it's going to be hilarious if I can get this to work the way I want it to. So, choice Scarf options for him. If he Scarfs Coco, I could see that. Sorry, guys. I can see that being an option. The speed makes sure I outrun everything, so it's going to allow me to check for Scarfs relatively early. But let's talk about Final Gambit, dude. A lot of Marv's Pokemon, base HP is not on the high side. Off the top of my head, I think the only ones with base HP higher than Webley, Selgor, is Zygarde with like 105, Incineroar with 95, and then Snorlax with something stupid like 120. Oh, and Seismitoad has like 105 maybe as well. But everything besides that, Crobat, Coco, Gengar doesn't count, Raichu, Mesprit, Seismitoad, Scissor, Serena, all have lower base HP. And the ones that, even some of the stuff that does have a higher base HP, it's so close that like I could see myself pulling a Bonsai and just throwing a Webley at somebody to do like 90% of their HP or Oko them. If I can keep rocks off the field and like Incineroar's like his switch into Webley and I just Bonsai it, that would be hilarious. Would be absolutely hilarious. So I think it'll be fun. It's one of my only great ways to revenge kill like a coil of chipped, well not coil, but a Calm Mind Tapu Koko. Calm Mind Tapu Koko, because it gets access to Grass Knot and wants to trigger me. For some reason, Koko needs Grass Knot because it makes sense, because Fairy Thunder typing obviously means it's in tune with nature. The Fairy Electric type. But anyways, it gets Grass Knot, which means it bodies Donphan. I can't wall it with Donphan. So, if he is Calm Mind Koko, which, sorry guys, my thoughts are scattered, but that's just the way my brain works. Why am I obsessing about Calm Mind Koko? When me and Marv talked about Ditto in the past, I had mentioned that, the one really good way to kind of beat Koko, or beat Ditto, or a good way to beat Ditto, is a Calm Mind setup sweeper over some sort of stat boosting sweeper, and like a Dragonance sweeper, because, the Calm Mind boost, defensive boost, makes it really hard for the Ditto to Oko whatever it's attacking. So looking at his roster, he's only got 2 Calm Mind Pokemon, Koko, Mesprit. I could see Mesprit coming Calm Mind, but I think I have other things for it. Koko, on the other hand, with its base speed, makes Calm Mind really dangerous. So, Final Gambit might be my best way to Oko it, because it's got lower base HP stat than me by like I think 5 points. So even if just doing 80% to Koko might be enough to put it in Ice Shard range or something along those lines. So kind of a fun move. I could see myself screaming Bonsai and throwing Webley at something. The Quick Claw in case he's a Scarfer, if in case it comes down to like I have a chance to take Coco out here. And I'm just going to go for it, even if it's a Scarfer. Hopefully I get the quick claw activation and Bonsai Coco. It'll be funny. It'll be hilarious if it gets to go off. So I'm really looking forward to trying to do that. So that's my fun tech for this week. With the one thing I need to mention, because of I'm a little worried and I might wuss out, but I could see Gengar resist Bug Stab so heavily that I'd be really sad if he switches Gengar in on Bonsai when I click Final Gambit. So if he brings both Coco and Gengar, I might have to not Bonsai him right away. It's a possible lead option for me, but I would just feel so bad if I Final Gambit did Gengar. And I'm not sure if I think I still die, but the move just, it's immune to it, so I think I would still die and lose. But that's the plan. If he brings Gengar, I don't know if I'm leading off with it. I might just be a wuss and click U-turn and then go into something like Bluff Scarf, Lumineer, or something like that, and click Shadow Balls. But yeah, that's the kind of the game plan, guys. Yeah, sets that might change before the battle. Me and Marv might battle tonight. Lumineer might get fully just dropped for Tentacruel. Bandit might change his cover options if I wuss out and don't want to bring Nasty Plot, but he's got so many 4x resists. It's hard for me to be like, yep, better bring this HP Ice, even though I have Ice coverage on another Ice Mont and a stab. I have Ice Stab on one Mont with the possibility of Ice Shard on Donphan. Do I really need a third Mont with Ice coverage when he's got his Scissor and his Incineroar? So I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll calc it a little bit later, but I can see it being interesting. Last thing before we sign off here, what is the win con with this team, you might be asking? I'm not really sure. I think it's Bandit. A Bandit combination of Bandit and Lumineer, and then Ice Shard spam might be my best way to win this game. But yeah, so we don't have a choice Scarfer that makes it really easy, but that's kind of the plan here, guys. Alright, well, this is excessive. Team Stealth Rocks signing off. It's the best move in the game. Hope to catch you guys later. Peace.